Africa is at the crossroads. We have seen a continent trying to emerge out of COVID-19. We've seen an industry that's been shaken by decarbonization and global issues like the war in Russia and Ukraine. We've seen a recent rush for gas around African gas with regards to feeding into Europe. We've also seen within our continent a big push on decarbonization and also on keeping oil and gas in the ground and not really driving with production and new licenses. But there is some hope in a sense where we're seeing two big exploration campaigns turn out very good in Namibia with Shell and Total Energies. We're seeing great ambitions around Mozambique, where Total Energies is going to start its productions in its LNG projects again. But we also seen issues around African independence, whether it's ITO and the oil spills in Nigeria, or issues around energy security with crude oil theft in Nigeria that are still problematic in our continent. Power generation in Africa has slightly increased, but also a population increase has created a continent where we still have to deal with issues around energy poverty. But a big uptick in investments that are coming into Africa this year, how those investments would mean, and what we should be thinking of, getting African producers to actually do deals and sign deals and get deals done, it is going to be key, whether with local players or not. We believe at the Chamber that free markets, limited government, individual liberty, pushing local content, pushing issues around women's rights and women in energy, it's key and really, really important if our continent should meet those challenges. We have today Taimi, who is the African Energy Chamber president for Namibia, Leoncio Amada, based in Equatorial Guinea. He is the president of the Chamber, of the African Energy Chamber for the SAMAC region, covering Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Congo, Chad, and Central Africa. We also have Grace, who is on our advisory board and also serves a lot on our gas and investment committees. Verna Ayokeba, who is our senior vice president of policy, and Abdul Omidia, he is our president for Nigeria and West Africa. We could not be more pleased to have this esteemed panel. And I just want to start with the first question. Grace, we've seen a big discussion around Africa with the role of gas and gas to Europe. Do you think that should be the right discussions, or is Africa able to provide gas? Number one, is Africa able to provide gas to Europe? And number two, should we not be talking about an intra-Africa gas pipeline for gas to Africa?
At this moment, looking at the huge gas reserve we have as a continent, domestic gas supply should be a priority. So right now, our priority as Africa, as a continent, should be focused on gas and not trying to meet the demand of others. There's a saying that goes, charity begins at home.
First of all, Abdul, can we get gas to Europe? And what does it take for us to get gas to Europe? And what would it take for us to get gas to Africa?
Africa is already exporting gas to Europe. And I look at the statistics. I have a chart that actually shows the statistics of the gas that comes to Europe. And it goes from the likes of United States, Qatar, Russia, Nigeria, and Algeria. And by number, Algeria is bringing in 1 BCF of gas to Europe. Nigeria is bringing in 1 BCF of gas per day to Europe, while Russia is bringing 2 BCF of gas. So to get gas from one place to the other, you need to be able to have the transmission system. So the pipeline is not available. I'm glad to see that we signed the Nigeria, Niger, Algeria Trans-African Pipeline. These are not things that are happening today. These are things that should have happened years ago. To get back to that, we need to get those investments to rapidly develop the gas project around Africa.
We have a problem with money. What does it take to be able to build this infrastructure and support base, where do we have the money from? Where do we have? Because it's always about these ideas and we need. Where do we find the money?
We need private investors and we need African banks to actually sit up. Because Europe is not going to give us the money, America is not going to give us the money. We need private investors.
You're talking African banks. Your African Development Bank says they do not invest in anything fossil fuels. I actually believe they're wrong. They also do not really invest in a lot of other other projects that would be deemed as not bankable, especially in these utilities.
We have private investors who are interested in Africa.
Abdul, where do we find the money? And also, I just want you to talk a little bit about Team Energy Africa. 1 minute.
So where do we find the money? Vena is right. The money is there when there's an off-taker.
Well, you guys keep saying the money is there. Where is the money? Show me the check.
The question is this. We are currently producing tons of gas today. Why is those gas not in Africa? Why are they going out? That is number one. The people that invested in Africa gas invested for them to be the off-taker of those African gas. So they are investing in African gas to take the gas away.
So the money is here. Africa is making now, today, $500 million a day. Don't tell me there's no money. We have money. So we don't need foreign guys to come to invest in Africa because the money is here.
Taimi, we've seen a big, there have been so much what I call an oasis of love around Namibia and great discoveries by Total Energies and Shell. Is Namibia ready for an oil boom?
Is Namibia ready? I think in most terms, Namibia is ready in terms of its policies. I mean, there's still a little bit of work to be done, but in terms of the country's governance, I think the country's ready infrastructurally.
How are we going to get investment, especially in regions like yours, Central African regions, when we look at issues around forex control, high taxes on energy producers, and are doing business and transparency ratings? Your region is one of the worst in the continent, if not the world.
Thank you. I think you are right. I mean, you just point out that we have some issues. I would say challenges. We're not the worst, but we have some challenges in my region.
Why is that? You had Exxon in the region, Chevron in the region. There is a massive exodus from that region with a great potential and resources. They can't seem, why are they leaving?
Because the fiscal terms are just ridiculous. They don't make sense. We've been saying this, over and over and over. We have I would say the worst tax system in the world.
So, I mean, I'm glad to hear talk about capacity building. It does not make sense that a particular region that is well-versed, well-advanced in local content, in capacity building, do not do that transition to move to other region, bring the lessons learned, bring the best practices, and implement it faster. So Team Energy Africa is a platform that aggregates the investors, energy developer to come together to accelerate the SDG 7 objective. This is our initiative with United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, that its sole objective is to develop Africa. The Sustainable Energy for All, that its sole objective is to make sure that sustainable energy, source of energy, cooking, and electricity is available to all. And then the African Energy Chamber, who is the voice of Africa, voice of energy in Africa. Though these three groups has a common synergy to come together to develop the initiative Team Energy Africa with the sole objective in mind: accelerate SDG 7, accelerate the time it takes for us to have electricity, 100% access in all parts of Africa. So Team Energy Africa is
how much money is involved by the United Nations and all of you smart guys working on that? How much money?
Oh, it is said that about 500 billion is required to get Africa a year on year to get Africa to where we are going.
How do you think African players can play in this in these acquisitions that are taking place? Number one. Number two, how can they raise the financing to finance some of the acquisitions?
Funding is always an issue. We talked about funding earlier. I know you kept on insisting on how do we get the money? Where is the money? How do we get the money? Collaboration will be key here for the acquisition of some of these IOC assets. And as much as we want, as individual players, private investors want to invest, we need to be very careful here to make sure we actually have the governance structure in place. Collaboration will be a way to go.
There is this movement around saying we want to get African players to do the acquisitions and to participate. How do you convince an international player as an African player that needs to have? And a case in point, we've seen oil spills, we've seen a lot of HSE problem around African independence. How do we turn that around? What kind of public-private partnerships is needed to raise capital within the continent, and what innovative strategies should be implemented in establishing an African energy bank?
A public-private partnership is a great thing, but then you need to be able to understand what drives that particular institution, which is the bank in that sense.
What about creating an African energy bank?
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, 1,000%. Putting the money in terms of some of the sovereign money, but then get out as the politicians, get out as governments, and let the technicians, let me use Abdul, let the Abduls of this world be able to go in there and do the job.
January 2021, Norway launched a licensing round with 52 licenses put up. Today, about 5 days ago, the UK is saying they're going to have a big oil and gas licensing round in the United Kingdom. But African producers, African countries are being said to don't license oil and gas, don't explore, don't do everything, leave it in. What would you tell an African who feels that this is unfair?
All animals are equal. Some are just more equal than another. The natural resources in Africa has been exploited for over a long period of time. In the fourth industrial revolution, Africa cannot afford to be left behind. In the words of the executive secretary of UNECA, she said, every single day we delay, every single day that is wasted in getting Africa to that destination is delayed to prosperity. If we have to achieve that Africa we dream of, that Africa we want, by the AU 2063 objective, it has to be Africa we want, for us, by us. So nobody has the right to tell us not to use gas.
We saw at Africa Energy Week last year, a lot of deals being signed, and we've seen some picked up, negotiations that started. Are we going to see more deals being signed at Africa Energy Week this year?
We are seeing deals. There's a number of talking. I can't talk about this publicly where it's not public information, but we're seeing a number of deals going around places like Niger, where there's going to be production ramping up from 20,000 to 100,000 next year. We're seeing a lot of movement in Nigeria due to the marginal plays that are happening. A lot of companies are coming together and getting the right kind of finance that they need. So we're likely to see more African majors turn up. Certainly, we've seen a couple of companies in Nigeria bid and go out to spend billions of dollars for assets. That's likely to be a trend that is going to continue.
The future for Africa is collaboration and integration. I call it diagonal integration. We are going to start to see hydrogen hubs. I'm sure, Taimi talk about the Namibia hydrogen, the South Corridor project. You know about the Morocco project. You know about what Chariot is doing. The future is creating this integration and collaboration, where you create a gas hub, where you create hydrogen hub. Every countries in Africa will not have the ability to have carbon storage. You're going to have to identify where are going to be the carbon storage region in Africa. They have a facility, natural facility that we can actually do carbon storage. So with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we're going to have to put the policy framework. This is where the role the government plays to put that platform. The policy framework, the regulatory framework, how we are going to synergize. That is something that we have to now translate the MOU into action. And it's one of the reasons why gas is part of Team Energy Africa agenda, because we understand the domestic gas obligation. 55% of LPG used in Nigeria are imported. If you don't know, you know it now.
We all don't have to agree on the same thing, but we all have to continue finding solutions to drive our continent further. And yes, you talk about the future of Africa. I still think it's going to be on the role of women and young people. And let's not forget that the majority of people that are victims of energy poverty are women. Let's not forget the majority of people that are victims of clean cooking, of not having clean cooking technologies are women, and there goes our future. So we would have to do a lot more to drive that. Thank you so much, and thank you for tuning in. And we look forward to you joining the chamber, being part of the discussion, and connecting with all these great panelists. And don't forget to ask them various questions. Rachel, thank you very much, and God bless you.